Hello, beautiful perspectives in this world, beautiful beings of light. Thank you so much for being here and welcome. What does it mean to be present, and how can the power of presence change and transform our relationships? This is something that I've been experiencing over the past few years as I anchor more and more into the present moment. To me, to be present means to be free of attachment to mind, to be free of judgments and concepts and labels and stories and narratives and expectations. To me, it means moving from the mind into the heart, feeling the situation, feeling the energy within myself and around me. It means alert and focused attention to give the fullness of my being to whoever I'm with or whatever I'm doing. And it means no resistance to life, letting life flow through me, letting the energy flow through me. For a long time, I held on to certain expectations and certain stories and narratives of how certain people should or shouldn't show up in my life, or how certain people should or shouldn't act or behave, or I used to judge them, and I would judge the way that they chose to act or react or to live their lives. And by holding on to these stories, I would tell myself that they don't care about me, or they don't understand me, they don't get me, or if only they were more this, if only they were more loving, if only if they were more present, if only they were more expressive and engaged, and they shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is. And I realized at some point that it had nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. So I started to become aware of my narratives. I started to become aware of my judgments and my concepts and labeling. And I started to release the expectations. I started to release the judgments and stories. And I started to put more focus and energy into showing up empty, into being the spacious present moment, and allowing whoever I was with to be whatever they needed to be in that moment, to express whatever they needed to express. And I realized that it's not my job, it's not your job to change anyone. It's not my job or your job to save anyone. All we can do is change ourselves. All we can do is change our actions and reactions and behaviors and patterns and emotions. And I truly believe, and this has been my experience, that the more I can become aware of this and the more I practice this, the more my reality has changed right before my eyes. And I'm finding that, especially in the relationship with my partner or with my parents, that the more that I can just show up and be empty of mind, no concepts, no labels, no judgments, no expectations, the more I can do that, the more I find that I'm opening my heart to love, and I'm not limiting the way that they can show up in my life. Because by putting these labels and judgments and ideas and concepts onto others, by projecting those onto people, we limit the way that they can show up. We limit the expression of who they are to those boxes that we put them in. And the more that I've been able to release that, the more people have shown up in my life in surprising and beautiful ways, in ways that I couldn't have predicted or even asked for. And so I started to find the positive aspects of the people in my life. Instead of focusing on the negative things or criticizing, I would switch those thoughts to focus on the positive aspects of them. And I started to listen, to really listen, to not interrupt and to not think about what I was going to say next or how I was going to respond. And I released the need to convince anyone of anything or to defend my thoughts or beliefs. And I started to just watch and observe. I'm trying to hear what isn't being said and just to be fully present with the wholeness of my being. And it's so cool because the more I can do this, the more I start to see them, whoever it is that I'm with, for the wholeness of who they are. I start to see them as expressions of beauty and love and truth and divinity, because we all are that, and we're not separate from that, even though our ego might create the sense of separation. That's just an illusion, and the ego does that because it needs separate entities in order to exist as itself. But to be truly open and loving and non-judgmental and not put labels and expectations and concepts onto whoever or whatever we're with or doing, it completely changes the experience. And it shows up in beautiful and unexpected ways. Like, the more that I find that I'm coming from my heart instead of my mind, the more I open up and can be vulnerable, the more, for example, my parents show up in beautiful, loving, and vulnerable ways with me. Like a few months ago, I was out for a walk with my mom, who in the past I would have judged as being a very mind-driven, intellectually focused person, and someone who's caught up in thought and not very present. And we were out for this walk, and I was just practicing being spacious, open, present, alert, and joyful, and just experiencing the forest together. And as we walked in silence, she started noticing things that she had never noticed before. She noticed the leaves flickering in the sunlight, and she noticed the treetops swaying in the wind. She noticed the sound of the river rumbling over the beautiful rocks. And it was such a cool and beautiful moment for me because she just embodied the present moment, and together we were just the spacious, loving, present moment of now. And I'm so grateful for these moments, and they're starting to happen more and more. And she's sending me these beautiful messages of gratitude and appreciation, of love and kindness. And it's so fun because the same situations that I might have experienced in the past are now experienced in a completely new way because of this new attitude towards life, because of this new practice of being present. A while ago, I heard a conversation between Deepak Chopra and Oprah, and he was talking about how the most important person is the one you're with in this moment. The most important thing you can be doing is whatever you're doing in this moment. The most important time in your life is now, this moment. The best way to prepare for your future is to be totally present now. Forget all of your learnings. Just remember that now is the most important moment that never ends. How can you be more fully engaged with whoever you're with? How can you be more fully present with whatever you're doing? How can you be more rooted in the present spacious now? Because you are that. I would love it if you would share in the comments below any experiences you've had where the power of presence has helped you experience a situation in a new way, or has helped transform a relationship in your life. I want to thank you for being here with me today, because it's the present moment. It's called the present because it is the present. And by taking the time to practice and to anchor into the now, into the present, we can be open to receiving all the gifts that the universe has for us. So thank you, and I love you. But always remember to love yourself the most. Yahoo!